Hello and welcome to the That's So Craven podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Fulham. We are back. It's the end of the international break. Fulham return playing Sunderland at Craven Cottage this weekend. A mix of results across the international break, some high highs, some low lows for the Fulham players, but it's back to Premier League football. Here to discuss it all. It's been a while since the three of us have been together, but the Australian crew's back. We have Sammy. How are we going, Sammy?
I'm going good. I don't know when I actually started doing this, but it just hurt my neck just then. I've been doing Stairmaster a lot recently. That's made me tired more often. But you know what? I'm here for you guys to brighten my spirits and my energy. My family, my dear family.
I like how you started by saying I've been doing this, despite this being an audio format podcast, but that's fine.
Yeah, I did think
Sam
Very
was
good point.
doing
It's a very good point.
finger gunning the air for those not following along on YouTube, which you can follow along on YouTube. Joining us as well, we have Elton. How are we going, Dad?
Good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, concise, easy.
Cool.
So I'm too used to Sam talking
Straight
for
to
half
the
an
point.
hour and telling us about
Wow.
his gym schedule as well. Guys, it's been a while. Hate the international break, but it's the last one until, well, the last official full one, I guess, until AFCON rolls around, but the last, I guess, overall international break for some time. It's always a weird time. Fulham always bounce back terribly from international breaks. There feels like there's way too many at the start of the season. I think we had one September, October, and November. So it's actually a chance now for us to bed in for a couple of months. We know how busy November looks from here. We know how busy December is when you get around the Christmas period. How are we feeling now that we've got through the international breaks? We're 11 games into the season. Sammy, I'll throw it to you first. How are you feeling overall in terms of how Fulham are going so far?
I'll be honest, not great. It's, yeah, I mean, even in like going into Sunderland, because in any other time period, Sunderland shouldn't necessarily be as threatening as they are, but they're actually quite a team at the minute. I mean, like they're quite highly ranked in the Prem as well. Like it was great to see Harry Wilson do well over the international break. I shed a tear for the Nigerian nation, but it hasn't necessarily been my favorite Fulham season of the past couple of years, and we're a little bit too close to that relegation line for my liking. So I think I'm officially a bit stressed. That's just my kind of take. I'm not trying to be nihilistic. I'm a positive fellow, but I'm looking for optimistic things, and I would like to have a couple more. You know,
Have you guys forgotten how woeful we were leading into the international break and how glad we were that there was a pause? Have you forgotten?
I mean, I'm trying not to be negative here. I'm trying to be optimistic. You're the one, like,
Okay. I'm
yeah.
just being realistic.
Like, I mean, there's realism, and then like people come here for a fun time, and like I was just
Okay.
watching the Batman. That was also depressing as well. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole twice. Jack, lead us in with the positivity, because Dad is being a negative Nancy.
Not sure I can, to be honest. I'm not worried, but worried. Not terribly, but kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird start to the season. You look at the teams below us who have been struggling as well. It's a strange one where you usually see the newly promoted sides filling up those bottom spots and maybe one other side struggling as well. So far this season, we look at Sunderland, who we're obviously playing this weekend, who I think are sitting in the top 6 still.
Yeah.
You look at other promoted sides who are giving a fairly good account of themselves. And I think there's obviously Wolves look absolutely shocking. West Ham, Forest have been poor this year as well so far, but expect those sides to bounce back because they kind of usually do. And so that fills me with a bit of dread because we'll talk about some of the issues at the moment. Muniz is requiring surgery, not back till January. That's a big loss for us. We've seen how easy and how quickly we can fall into a bit of a hole when we have a handful of injuries, and how much that affects the squad in total. And our results in kind. And there's been issues with Marco Silva as well, where we're unsure of his future, and that seems to have had a bit of a knock-on effect on the squad and the team and our performances. So it's just kind of like you were saying, it's just not all coming together for me. I agree that the international break in a way came at a good time for us to reset, but at the same time, I know how poor we are after the international break as well. And so this game, you don't want to talk about 6-pointers, but it does kind of feel like a bit of a 6-pointer because it is so important that we start to get some good results. We start to see things turn around a bit. And like I said, I'm not worried, but I am a little bit worried. Yeah, go on, Sammy.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to mince my words. I truly, from everything that I've seen of Sunderland, and particularly their last game against Arsenal, and I've kind of been watching the bottom three all season, just because. Oh, sorry, not the bottom three. The newly relegated teams, because I thought that was going to be an easy win. And I think we can break this down a little bit further, but I don't think we're going to beat them because I was watching them play against like Arsenal, and I was just like, they're properly attacking, and they have a good attack as well, and they are quite united in their kind of like goal, and it is stressing me out because I can't really see the way in which we're getting 3 points from this. I would take a draw. I would really, really genuinely take a draw, because I would significantly prefer that to. I think a loss to Sunderland, even though they're top 4, top 6, that I will be kind of inconsolable after that. I don't know. What's your guys' take?
Well, I think that's probably unfair to Sunderland, who are really doing pretty well.
Good team.
And I actually took the trouble of watching some highlights from the last 4 or 5 games. And look, they've played a few of the teams that we've played. It's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of their fixtures, their last half a dozen fixtures. Not dissimilar to us, but I think I'm going to say they've probably fared better against the weaker sides, and certainly have done better against the better sides. And against the pants sides, they've put them away, which is more than I can say for us so far this season. So we're not really taking our chances. I mean, I note that a number of their critical goals that got them points were actually own goals, the opposition own goals. That's always helpful, but I would be unfair to characterize, their success as being mistakes on the other teams. They look really good in attack. There might be an opportunity for us in terms of their defense, but in attack they are pretty aggressive and they're really, really up for it. And they do the stuff that we don't do. They're chaotic in the box, on their free kicks and their corners. There's loads of people in the box. They're actually having a crack. And so I'm absolutely far from taking this one for granted. I think it's going to be a really difficult fixture. Thank God it's at home.
Yeah.
But they've been picking up points home and away. So they are not your average, just promoted, easy points. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I skipped ahead a little bit on some of the slides and what we're going to chat about, but I mean, I pulled up Sunderland's last 5 results, and they're impressive. Let's be honest. I mean, a 1-1 draw with Arsenal, a 2-2 draw with Everton at home. Those games both at the Stadium of Light. A 2-1 victory over Chelsea away, a 2-0 victory over Wolves at home. We know that Wolves are a poor team, but still getting the job done.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a 2-0 loss to Man United at Old Trafford, always a tough place to go, no matter
Yeah.
how good a team you are and whatever kind of form Man United are in. I mean, obviously their home form very good. To get an away win against Chelsea, good result as well. I think you sort of touched on it a little bit. They're playing without fear at the moment as a newly promoted side, and I think it reminds me a lot of when Fulham first came back into the Premier League after that great season in the Championship, and seeing how just how attacking and aggressive we were playing our football, and not being afraid to sort of push forward and try and score as many goals as possible, and be attacking and sort of back yourself and back your style. And that's what Sunderland seem to be doing this season. And it's working for them. And so, as much as this should be a game that we win, not comfortably, but at the start of the season, you sort of pencil in Sunderland for 6 points, really, and we should be penciling in all of those promoted teams for 6 points. That's kind of the way this should always work. You take 18 points off the 3 newly promoted sides, and then you scratch together the other 22 points to get you to safety. It's turning into a game that actually feels a bit like a 6-pointer, and quite an important game for us to get a result from. Interesting comments here, which I agree with as well, from the people joining along on our live stream. Steve Reynolds says, the fact that the Nigerian boys arrived back Monday is a plus. The fact that Raul played a pointless game overnight is not due to be back until... Sorry, Raul's not due to be back until Friday training, which is a bit of a worry. Other good points across the international break as well, though. Wilson hat-trick while playing in the false 9 yesterday. Could we see that when Raul is clearly going to be fatigued after his international break and until Muniz comes back? Stuff to discuss there, but I guess overall what I'm seeing is that this international break sort of came at a good time in a way, but off the back of what has been a bit of a rough period for us, I feel like going into a game against Sunderland, you want a bit of momentum, and it feels like we don't really have that at the moment. The Nigerian boys, as Steve said, did get back on Monday, which is good, but they're off the back of a really disappointing result where Nigeria missed out on making the World Cup. They're going to be pretty flat, especially if you saw some of the social media tripe that they've received over the last couple of days. A lot of blame being laid at the feet of Iwobi, Bassi, and Chukwueze as sort of senior players within that side. I guess we've sort of spoken about it a little bit already, but Dad, I'll throw to you first. How are you feeling in terms of the way the team is sort of laid out at the moment in terms of players coming back from injury? We're obviously missing Lukic because he's suspended for the game after 5 yellow cards, which somehow took him 11 games. I thought he was going to knock it off at about 7 at the start of the season. But no Lukic this week. Muniz out with a hamstring injury, like a fairly serious looking one by the sounds of things as well, that's going to keep him out and require surgery. Raul, obviously very tired coming back. There's a lot of players who've had quite a big international break. What are you expecting when we pick our side against Sunderland?
Well, to go back to the start of your question, of how am I feeling about our injury situation, a couple of weeks ago, I thought we were emerging suddenly from a really rough trot of having key players injured, and suddenly the pickings looked much better. I'm really worried about Muniz being out for such a long time. That's a significant injury, obviously requiring surgery. And then I guess, how well does he recover? Is an estimated point somewhere in January where he comes back, but we don't know. If Raul was in wonderful form and looking healthy and fit, it would be something. But he hasn't looked great. He's looked exhausted, frankly, even running into this period, and and now another international break to deal with. I mean, look, they're professionals, they're fit, they're young guys, but still, we've got utterly no depth in that position and so reliant on him. And it's not great. Forget not that Robinson is just, MIA, which we've done well. We've done really well because Sess has actually covered for him brilliantly, but there is some X factor there and we just haven't had it. And what one wonders, as we've said so many times, just how the combination might work between, him and any of the new guys in the side. But I guess we just have to move on without that. Look, there's a lot going on, and it hasn't been good. There are just a lot of problems that we seem to be having to deal with at the moment, from Marco to injuries to just poor form and things just not clicking. You want to hope that things are going to just click and magically come together through a moment, through a period of great play, that suddenly we find our feet again. I don't know. I do not know what it's going to take.
I really, really hope there'll be a significant amount of changes. And I know that's not the conservative option, and I know it's probably not going to happen. But in the exact same breath as well, I know if we put out the system that we've been putting out, I actually think that, which we probably will, but I actually think we will just lose to Sunderland, quite frankly. Because I think we kind of need like a bit of a Deus ex machina kind of like situation happen, where somebody just emerges and, say, for example, Kevin has just spent the last like 2 weeks just really tapping into something else, and then he can like link with like Harry Wilson, and then magic kind of like happens. But I'm not sure. I can't really rely on that. The only thing I can probably say is, like, I think Chikwueze probably needs to actually be in the side. I think we just need something different, because it's just very, very evident to me that at this stage it just isn't working in the current kind of like situation. That's not to say it can't work. It's just this current thing that we're trying to like push isn't necessarily work. It's like Hoochie and The Simpsons. It just doesn't work, and it never will work. And that's it. Like, what else do you do? I think in that situation you have to make changes.
The one positive thing out of all of this is that Lukic is unavailable, and I don't mean to disrespect him, but that obviously forces a change, and hopefully Marco reverts to what was the one sort of positive piece over the last month, and that was when Iwobi actually played in the middle.
Yeah,
admittedly to a weakish opposition, but still he was dynamic, and it felt very, very different. And maybe this forces Marco's hand into something that he just can't deny. If Iwobi has a blind, and Iwobi and what's his face have a really good game in the middle, and maybe Marco's hand is forced. Am I dreaming?
Are you dreaming? No. But I think the problem is, and it sort of stems back to Sam saying it's not really worked so far this season in terms of the system in general. I guess we've been kind of constantly having to adapt in terms of, we sign these new players, according to Marco, they're not ready, and so they can't come into the side. So we're just sort of testing the waters and slowly pushing them in. In doing so, because of the players that we've sold, we don't really have the coverage that we kind of require. And then on top of that, with the injury crisis that we as Claire Green says on our YouTube comments as well, we haven't had an injury crisis in the last, well, I think under Marco in general. I can't remember one in the Championship, and we barely had one in the Premier League as well. So it was always going to happen at some point. Every club goes through it. Unfortunately, it happened to us so far at the start of the season. And we've struggled with that big time. So as much as I would like to see Marco do things differently sometimes, I think maybe saying that the system is broken or just not working is probably maybe fractionally unfair. But
can I say something, Jack?
I agree that changes need to be made, because we're kind of forced into it. And the problem that I will let you say something in a second, but the problem that I think we have with Marco, at least my problem with Marco, and I didn't get to say this because I wasn't part of the great debate that we had, which is our last episode, which you should definitely listen to if you haven't already, is that Marco doesn't make Yeah, you'll get there. Don't worry. Marco doesn't make those changes like playing Iwobi in the middle. He'll spend weeks arguing that shouldn't happen before it actually does, before he is forced to play his hand. And that's my biggest issue at the moment, and why I think we're being slightly held back. And I know we're getting a little bit off topic there, but I agree. I think Iwobi should be playing in the middle in this game, and his hand should be forced. But I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up putting in Harrison Reed or Tom Kearney, because they're central midfielders, and it's again just a sort of like a almost like a dummy spit because he didn't get his way in the summer transfer window.
Well, do you need some oxygen, Jack? You didn't take a breath there.
I mean, yeah, at one point I did struggle for breath, but yeah, I got through the morning.
This is just like sitting around the dinner table, isn't it? Anyway, what I was going to say, I've bloody forgotten what I was going to say, but it'll come back to me.
On, then.
It might not have been. If you can't remember it, it's probably not important.
Hold on. No. It is good. This is good. Is it fair to say? Is it fair to say that whilst Marco has doggedly sort of defended his onboarding strategy and taking so long to actually blood new players and give them a starting chance, it doesn't happen anywhere else. He's either he's too slow and he and his team don't work quick enough, or he's really underestimating the average professional footballer who in any other Premier League club would find themselves in a starting 11 quicker.
I think Marco, every manager has their own style. Every manager has their own beliefs and the way they do things. You look at some managers come in and implement crazy fines for their players based on rocking up to training late or having your phone go off in a meeting. Every manager does things differently. They have the way that they like to run a club. Marco, through his whole career, has always been almost a creature of habit, I'd say. He likes things to be settled. I think if he had his opportunity or the ability to do so, he'd play the same team every single week. So I genuinely feel like it's just a bit, I don't know, Sam.
But it's not necessarily. It's not a style thing. No, but if you take too long, that's a key problem. No one minds. I know, but that's the way that
he wants to do it. That he wants to bed players in slowly, and he won't throw a player straight in because for the way Marco likes to play, he likes people to understand the system inside out, back to front, so they can do it with their eyes closed. And I get that. There's been great managers who've done the same. You think of. Look at, I think it's George Graham's Arsenal team where he tied rope around their waists, the back four, so that they were always moving in tandem. You can't throw a new player into that system and expect them to be in the exact right positions. And so I understand why Marco feels that way, and that's just his way of doing it. And we're not going to be able to change his mind on that. And we just have to accept that when he brings in a new player, they're not going to start right from the start. I think even if you look at when he first, did he inherit Mitra? I can't remember off the top of my head. But even our very best players, he won't bring them straight in right from the start because he wants them to understand the system inside out with their eyes closed before he trusts them to go in and play in his style of football.
I think you can have all the logic in the world behind why people do certain things. And I think as a manager, you kind of have to assert and be very kind of stringent in your philosophies. You have to be like, this is the right way. I will die on this hill, and I have to die on this hill because, frankly, if I don't die on the hill, then people don't respect me, and that's kind of the point. You kind of have to like assert that and stress that. And for some people, it works, and for others, it doesn't. The best example in the world is looking at everything Jack Grealish is doing at Everton. Like, he's a completely new player just because he's not being forced to play a system. Works for some players, doesn't work for others, is my kind of like roundabout way of saying the point. I do think we have players that play a system. I desperately want just one player to just have freedom, or just Marco to select somebody to just go like, because I love Josh King, but I don't really think it's Josh King. Honestly, I don't even really think it's Harrison Wilson either. I don't really think we have that buddy person. Maybe Kevin. Kevin is probably the only person I can think of where it would just be like, you do whatever you want. I don't think it's going to happen though. And I think in this situation, we kind of need something like that. And I know we're speaking in if, ands, and buts, but I think in this kind, like, dad put me on a quote years ago where it's you only know who's swimming naked when the tide's out. And I think this is kind of a little bit of like, not necessarily Marco's undoing, but when everything's going great, we can reward the system and we can look at it and be like, yeah, Marco's doing awesome because in perfect weather, it's great. But then when it comes to like crunch time and when things aren't going your way and when things are difficult and stressful and irritating and you just don't have like the right cards, what are you going to do? And if you double down on the system that isn't serving you, you stress me out.
Well, isn't that the point that I can see the logic in all of it? Obviously, if you have complex plans, you want people to understand them. You want people to be really well drilled in them. However, your squad's thin. You've bought key marquee players. You're losing games, and yet on the bench or in the dugout, you've got great players that need to be on the pitch. So it's okay if you're Man City and you've got a huge squad of superstars. You can buy players and take as long as you like to bring them on board, but you've got to be adaptable and pragmatic about the situation that you're in and the talent you've got. You've got to find shortcuts rather than just stubbornly stick to your plan of how you onboard these people. Anyway.
Also, as well,
Before you
I just
jump
want to
in,
get.
Sammy,
I just want to get. I
well,
just
no.
want one thing. I just look at the one.
Well, no, because I'm gonna pose a question to you as well, though.
Okay.
Is it the system that's letting the team down, or is it the players that are letting the system down? Because this system that Marco plays has been successful. We've seen us beat the best teams. We've seen us beat Liverpool, informed Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal. You know, we've beaten all the big teams. So the system works. Are the players letting us down this season and making mistakes, not playing through the system? It's posed to Sam, so I'll let Sam go because I did cut him off.
So I think as well, it's very, very important to note that a system can work for a certain period of time and then everybody else kind of like clues into it. That's kind of the point.
Correct.
That's why people like Guardiola are actually quite interesting because they constantly change their system. And if anything, they're kind of chaotic because they changed their system before people have actually figured out what their system is. That's why they've been why they've become the kind of person that they are. Marco's been with us for like 4 seasons. And yeah, it's something that's worked in hindsight, but it's one of the first rules of like economics. You can make a prediction based on previous information, but you can make an educated guess on what's going to happen. You never actually know. And the only thing I can say with quite a good amount of certainty is, yes, something has worked previously, but currently it is not working. So then, and the thing that I was going to say is it requires a lot of confidence to have trust in your players and have trust in them to kind of go, I know what you can do, go do it. And I don't necessarily think Marco has that level of confidence in his players. That also can potentially be put on the players as well, being like they haven't necessarily given him a reason to make him trust them. So I think it is a little bit of both, but it's all indicative of kind of like the same kind of issue. I think there is a bit of a management problem with Marco. And look, if I'm the Khans and we're getting that close to relegation, and I know that you're kind of like out the door, I'm seriously actually looking at like Marco and just going, well, is it probably better to just cut and dry and actually get a new manager at this point? And that would be such a terrible way for it to kind of like go. And I don't think it's there yet, but it's probably getting to a bit of a conversation. We are very close to relegation.
Well, I think in terms of, I think Steve Steve made the point a little earlier on the feed, which is so prolific and active. It's actually rolled off the feed. But yeah, no, actually, well, it hasn't. It's right in front of me. There does need to be flexibility, and I would say that excluding when we're attacking on the break and in transition, which is a bit dynamic and chaotic and kind of opportunistic, so it's less predictable. When we are in possession and attacking, we are so predictable. So predictable.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that has definitely, it's a major factor in us teams blocking us from scoring goals because that, play it out, get to the last third, spread it wide, get to the byline, cross it in.
I do. Sorry, Dad. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think maybe we're talking about same things here in terms of a little bit of inflexibility, a little bit of stubbornness is probably maybe the wrong way to characterize it, but maybe it's just inflexible, and one might characterize that as being committed to your plans and confident, and another lens might be to say that it's just insufficiently flexible and not adaptable enough, which I think we're in the theatre right now where with poor form, with injuries, with perhaps I've heard noises that people are saying that the Premier League's got even more physical, so perhaps our pretty football on the ball, just in the last couple of years, our pretty football on the ball there's less space to do that, and we don't have absolute world-class players to pull that off, even in the toughest of circumstances. So maybe there are quite a few things that are conspiring against us. Maybe it's just catching up with us.
I do want to highlight what Dave said in the chat because I do think it is worth mentioning. And look, we are not actually attacking Marco, but at the same time, so for what everything that Dave said, like saying that he's one of the best managers and due to poor backing, there's all the reasons in the world. I get that, but also as well, we're not taking away from like anything good that he's actually done. We're just referring to the current situation, and just at this current stage, he's not handling it well. That's not a critique on him as a manager overall and anything that he's done. It doesn't take away from that. We're like, this isn't the podcast where we're just going to bag him out just for the sake of bagging him out. It's just looking at the perspective of what it's going on at this current stage. And at this current stage, he's just not handling the problems very well. And it's a hard thing to handle. But I think potentially somebody else could probably look at it a little bit better, or at least look at it with a clearer perspective.
I'm waiting for Dave to jump in the comments to say...
He said fair point.
I'm waiting for Marco's got that old credit in the bank argument, which I absolutely hate. But it's a fair point. And look, I think when it all boils down, I think it just looking at the present, this game against Sunderland is huge for us because we are struggling a bit. Admittedly, we're out of the relegation zone, but not by much. I think it's just 1 point in it at the moment. The two teams below us are Burnley and Leeds, who are two newly promoted sides. The teams below them are what you would probably call fairly established Premier League teams now in West Ham, Wolves and Forest. Wolves look absolutely terrible. I cannot see any scenario where they actually survive this season. But West Ham and Forest have talent throughout their squad, and I expect they'll come good. We're kind of, at that point, banking on Burnley and Leeds to play poorly, and I mean we got lucky against Leeds to get away with anything there. Burnley, I feel like are going to be a fairly tough side to break down throughout the season for a number of teams, and so they'll probably end up picking points up. Things have to change at Fulham this season, and that's not me saying we need to sack the manager and make sweeping changes, but I think if we continue to go the way we're going at the moment, I think we're going to be in a bit of a relegation battle, and I worry a little bit. Steve on our live stream posing the question, would things have been different if Marco had signed back in June? Hard to say.
No, I don't reckon.
Well, I think if he'd signed a contract, maybe some of the transfers might have pushed through a little bit quicker because there was a bit of certainty around his future. So potentially, but then again, if those transfers did get pushed through quicker, would we see Marco actually playing them sooner? I don't know, because he doesn't like to just throw people into competitive fixtures without a lot of substitute appearances first, and then going from there, pushing in, maybe playing a few cup games and things. I don't think we would have seen a massive change if Kevin had signed 3 weeks earlier, and he wouldn't be starting every game at the moment. So hard to say. Let's actually talk about the game itself. Let's try and hard to say, but let's actually no. Before we do that, step back. Let's talk about the international break and some of the performances that we saw during the international break, because there were some very good ones. I'll highlight just a couple, and these are off the top of my head because I'm poorly prepared today. But Harry Wilson last night scored a hat-trick against North Macedonia, 3 goals and an assist. 2 of them penalties, to be fair, but was playing out of his skin. Had a really good game for Wales there against a North Macedonia side who was slightly tricky as an opponent. We also saw Joachim Anderson not have a very good game, conceding some late goals there. The Nigerian trio, again, poor results for Nigeria in the international break. They wouldn't be happy with that. Jimenez, who has been looking tired already, was sort of pushed to his limit. We were sort of hoping to see just a handful of minutes out of him. He ended up playing, I think, 85 minutes in one of the games, which is just too much for a player who's already looking knackered. Josh King had a good international break. He got a goal and an assist, his first goal for the England under-21, so he'll definitely be feeling good. But I guess the big question is, how do we feel after an international break where we're going through this sort of period of an injury crisis, if you will, and then you have our players going out playing for their international teams and potentially putting themselves at risk and putting miles in their legs that they didn't already need to have put into them.
Well, I mean, it's the way it is, isn't it? I mean, if players are eligible for international duty, their hand is always going to go up, and it's always going to be the way. And, to summarize or to pick through all of that, look, couldn't be happier for one of our players to be part of a success story and a little bit of excitement. Harry Wilson scoring 3, like you said, that 2 of them were penalties, well taken, but 2 of them were the other one was a worldie, actually.
The other one was
absolutely really, really good goal, and I think he actually possibly won at least 1, maybe 2 of the penalties.
I think he won both of his penalties, to be fair, with some good
he's
footwork.
He's had a cracking game, but I think you're being very generous to say that North Macedonia is a great side, because
it was like 7-1 or something like that.
Not a great side, but they are a side. I think they knocked Italy out of the last World Cup from memory. As in beat them in the playoffs last time round. They're not a walkover, is what I mean. It's not like they were playing Armenia or the Faroe Islands. They're a half decent side.
Yeah, you mean like half the teams Australia get in their World Cup run?
Well, I mean,
yes,
pretty much, yeah.
So, in terms of the Denmark-Scotland game, let's not forget, give Scotland their due. They actually played out of their skin and scored some incredible goals, incredible goals.
Yeah.
And I know it's fashionable to dump on Joachim Andersen at the moment, but I'm going to defend the big fella. I looked at that. Sam spoke to me this morning and said, he was ball watching and whatever. Yeah, I'm not saying with that goal that he could have done a great deal, to be honest.
I think more deflating in terms of, you're not playing well for your club potentially, or not playing well, but your club's not doing well. You go to an international break, you get to hang out with your international teammates and potentially qualify for a World Cup, and then you throw it away. Not throw it away, because Scotland did play well, but you know what I mean. It would be
you don't win. You don't win.
Well, not just you don't win. You are going to the World Cup, and then all of a sudden you've been turned around at a very raucous Hampden Park, and you're not going to the World Cup, or you have to go through the
Mm.
playoffs now. So
Yeah,
that
sure.
would definitely take a bit of a mental toll on a player who's maybe not feeling super confident. Similarly with Bassi at the moment as well. You want your centre back pairing to come off an international break having, kept a clean sheet or maybe nicked a goal from a corner or something like that.
Mm.
Instead, we're going to have our two centre backs who usually start probably a little bit flat.
I'm saying
Yeah.
things are going so ordinarily for Fulham right now. None
That
of
it doesn't
these
even
things
matter.
can possibly be a setback, and I
Mm.
think they'll probably be quite happy to get to Motspur Park and just rinse all of that out of their minds, and maybe just for at least for the African guys. I mean, um, you know, I don't know. I know it's disappointing, but at least it's done. And I think maybe getting back to a period of club football is probably a bit of a relief, to be honest.
I think I think as well. I'm going to be as optimistic as I physically can right now, and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I think one thing that's really important to note is that penalty shootout. It was neither Iwobi or Bassi's fault because they did not contribute anything to that. So they can kind of
Bassi
like
did miss a
say,
penalty.
did he actually? Oh Christ! I actually watched the highlights. No one has their name on the back. Anyway, yeah, okay, all right. That kind of ruins that argument. Then I was trying to be optimistic. Fine. Iwobi didn't contribute, and I need Iwobi to. Iwobi's more likely to score goals. So that's so. At least
I
he
think
can.
they'll be. I
Sorry?
think they'll be fine.
I think it'll be fine as well. I'm really hopeful that Anderson will come off that exact situation that happened to him with a bit of a wounded animal kind of like inferiority complex, and then come back a revived new player ready to kind of like reestablish himself to the world again. That is my hope and pray. Whether I will get that or not is very, very different, but that's just the narrative that I'm cooking in my brain. They're going into Sunderland with redemption on their mind, and that is the story arc that I am going to imbue on them. Whether that's what happens is speculative.
Well, let's run that into how we see Fulham lining up against Sunderland. Obviously, goalkeeper. Don't think Leno's in any danger there.
Yeah.
Left back, let's assume Robinson is still out. We're recording this on the Wednesday, so we assume Marco's presser will come sometime on Thursday. We should learn more about the current injury situation and how players have come back from the international break. But let's assume no Robinson. We'll assume Cess starting at left back. It's a bit of a toss-up between Tete and Castagna. I think Castagna was on international duty. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really heard much about that. But Tete, you'd say, has been starting recently, has been playing fairly well, so we'll probably go again. Centre-back is an interesting one because we've obviously got Anderson and Bassi as our starting two, but as Dave said just a little bit further back in some of the comments on our live YouTube channel, Cuenca's surely breathing down Bassi's neck now. Cuenca, I think, has been really impressive this season whenever we've seen him come into the team. Bassi has had a couple of injuries. His trip out during the international break might have potentially had a bit of an effect on him as well. Dad, I'll throw to you first. Do you see potential changes at centre-back there? Do you think we might see Anderson line up with Cuenca? Do you think Marco will stick with Anderson and Bassi? I talked before about how Marco does like to keep it fairly similar week by week, but centre-back is somewhere where he has made some changes this season. Can you see us making changes this weekend?
I think, given our lack of success over the last 4 to 6 weeks on the whole, and given that Bassi and Anderson are clearly the preferred centre-back pairing, and frankly have nothing to prove, I think Silva's mindset would be, it's got to come soon. It's got to come soon. It's got to come soon. And we all know that an informed Bassi and an informed Anderson are huge weapons for us. And I think he's going to back them. He'll continue to back them. And that says nothing against Cuenca, who I think's been brilliant, but he's not Bassi. He's not the same. He hasn't got the same X factor. He's really good, and I really, really like him, but he's not Kelvin Bassi. And I think Silva is going to be partly hoping and wishing that it turns for Bassi and he suddenly shakes off the rustiness and the odd mistake and just some of the less than ideal moments that he's had over the last few weeks. I think Diop's are probably a little bit different. Diop's actually done just as well as Cuenca has when he's played, and possibly Anderson's form is even flatter. And I think Diop does sort of offer something different. He's very straightforward. He's very simplistic, I think, in the way he approaches the game, which is not.
He's a tree.
It's not a sledge. I think it can be very effective. From the highlights of 4 or 5 games of 3 or 4 minute highlights that I watch of Sunderland, they're pretty busy and they've got a number of different players who are goal threats. So you're going to need some physical, dogged defending, as opposed to maybe a preference for Anderson's ball playing ability for us to build up from the back. It might be preferred.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably stick with Anderson and Bassi as much as I would like to actually.
Marco will. He will.
As much as I'd like to pull Cuenca in, because I think Cuenca is potentially the future of the Fulham backline, if I'm making big sweeping statements. He's a young player who's been really impressive, and I can see him
Isn't
really
Bassi quite
stepping
young,
in at
though?
some point. Fairly young, yeah. But I think Cuenca has more natural ability than Bassi, to be perfectly honest. I think he just needs a lot more experience, and potentially we haven't quite found the role for him yet. I think it's very clear what Bassi's role is and what Anderson's role is. I think Cuenca was still trying to work out how to best utilise him, because I know he can also play a little bit at left back, although he's not the left back that we would want. So I'd expect we'll see Anderson and Bassi. Moving forward, do we expect Iwobi to start in centre mid? He was very impressive last time round, and we know that he can do it, and I think everyone wants him to do it. Sam, I'll throw to you first. Do you think Iwobi will start alongside Berger in centre mid, or do you think we're going to see Tom Cairney start?
I think probably Iwobi will start. It's not what I want though. I think he'll kind of begrudgingly put him there.
What do you
I kind of want Chikwueze, man. I actually quite I like
centre mid.
Yeah, isn't that where he plays typically?
He's a winger.
I thought he was playing centre mid. I swear last time he was playing centre mid. All right.
No.
Okay. I'll take that back. Yeah, I reckon it won't be then. Yeah.
I'll throw to you.
I love the way we just
Jeez.
sat back and let you actually dig yourself out of that.
I mean, that's part of the fun of the show. Like, I mean, I don't feel shame about it. Like,
I'm laying back on
why
the
would I
sofa
feel
now
shame
with my
about
arms
things
spread
I
wide.
don't know? That's just me being less informed or not paying attention. I'm okay.
But what's
with
his
that.
shirt number, Sam?
His shirt number is oh Christ, it's 19. It's 19.
Thank you. See, then we threw it back to you and let you have a win.
Thank
Dan?
you. Thank you.
I'm pretty certain that Iwobi will start in the middle. I can't see him starting Tom Cairney, and it's impossible in my mind for Harrison Reed to get a start. So who else is going to do it?
I mean, I can see him starting Tom Cairney. I think if it wasn't Sunderland, he would start Tom Cairney, if that makes sense. I think he sees Iwobi as a slightly more progressive and attacking player, and so will be
just the guy we need in the eight.
Honestly.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I know that when we play against teams who are slightly further up the table, he gets a little bit worried, and he'd rather have someone like Tom Cairney sit deep and play from deep and be a little bit more defensive. So I think he will play Iwobi because it's Sunderland. If it was anyone else, I think he'd probably go with Kearney.
Do you know what? I'm taking it back.
Well-
I want Josh King in the middle. I'm saying it.
I
want
also
Josh King in the middle.
quite like that as well.
Yeah, I get why he's I get why he's in a little bit further up. I understand the logic behind it. I think he's good enough to chuck him in the middle now. And like I'm sick of this because I keep watching him just being like he could play there. And yeah, put him a little bit back, put Smith Rowe a bit further up.
I think everyone would love to see Josh King be wildly successful in the 8, and I think he's that good. He could do it.
He's just got something to prove as well. Like none of the guys we've actually spoken about actually have as much to prove as he does.
I'm not even sure Josh King actually has got anything more to prove.
Comment here from Colm. Xhaka versus King. Granit Xhaka obviously been probably Sunderland's best player this season, probably the signing of the season as well. Very, very aggressive in a similar sort of John McGinn style where it might be a little too much of a challenge for Josh King in a game. And I think we do have to move past the whole Josh King's too small and doesn't have the physicality.
Yeah, I'm not buying that anymore, you know.
Yeah,
I think he's good enough.
Yeah.
I agree. But I think against Xhaka and against a team like Sunderland, I'd rather have Josh King have a little bit more freedom in the 10 to be able to play his game and sort of avoid Xhaka in a way by playing a little bit further forward and being free to roam around a bit and find the spaces.
My immediate caveat to that, though, rebuttal, either or, is I just know Josh isn't necessarily going to score goals. And I would actually rather him be blooded in a contest that maybe he's not necessarily ready for. But I want him because in every kind of like situation he's been put in, he has actually stepped up. I know that boy can defend. I know that boy is tougher than he actually looks. And I think as well, because again, he really has something to kind of like assert here that he will actually stand up to that challenge probably more than somebody like Iwobi would. That's not a knock on Iwobi, but that's just Iwobi's just not that sort of player. Whereas Josh is still kind of figuring out what kind of player he is. And I can see him give players bother. And I think that would actually be quite a good test for him. And it kind of goes into that whole like risk analysis situation. I want to put him in that situation because I know he's not going to come up with like a goal as much as I love him. I don't know Smith Rowe might.
Well, you say that, but at the same time, you've got King coming off a goal and assist for the England under-21. So
for the England under-21s, that's not. I'm not having that's the same kind of like standard as the Premier League.
No, international football though, he's playing with good players around him, and it's more a competitive fixture, and he's putting the ball in the back of the net and getting an assist as well. I feel like if there's any time to back him in the 10, which I think 8 eventually will be a better position for him, but I think at the moment, remember he also scored against Chelsea. He hasn't got assists for us yet, but he scored in the cup as well. He's definitely got the ability to score goals. I'd rather back him in the 10 than put him up against Xhaka in what you... I agree with what you're saying in terms of backing him against Xhaka because I think he will still be able. I think he would be able to do a job, but I'd rather see him, push himself out wide and potentially switch roles with Kevin and have Kevin or Chukwueze come into the middle and, have Wilson drift in the middle and King drift out wide and find some space. And I think that's where we're going to get the most out of Josh King at the moment. In the future, when he builds his confidence and potentially puts a bit of muscle on or just gets a bit more sturdy, I think in the 8, I agree, is definitely the best position for him.
I just don't want to wait. Also, as I was speaking of waiting, everybody's coming for me in the chat at the moment right now. And I'm just going to wish a polite fuck you to all my friends. Because I'm not having it
on this episode now. Thanks
not
for that, Sam.
having it anymore. You guys have
ruined monetization.
You guys have ruined this episode for the good people of That's So Craven. Mark is going to be so upset.
Anyway, on the wings, Dad, I'll throw to you first. Let's assume we're going to see a central two of Berger and Iwobi in the middle. Who do you put across the front front three, let's also assume that we're going to see Raul, even though he's probably a little bit tired, starting up front. Who sits behind them on the left, the right, and in the 10?
Yeah, I think Rao's going to have some ketamine, probably stuck into him to make him run like a racehorse. And I think we need to see Kevin. We need to see Josh King in the middle and Chuck Wazio out on the right. I think, unfortunately, we've got no choice in Marco's head and in our squad situation for Rao to play. Even if he only lasts for 40 minutes, he will play. He will start.
Yep. And we're likely to see a false start. I mean, we saw Josh King start up front last time when we had to bring Raul off. So, I agree. But
stick Wilson on up front when
question though,
Wilson on for Raul.
Asked, who are your front three? Who are your wingers and your 10?
Oh God.
So I said Chuck Wazee, King, and Kevin.
Sammy?
I see the argument. I can't in good conscience put Josh King in that position. I can't because Raul
best player of the season so far.
Well, but he doesn't come up with goals, and it's as simple as that for me. And I love him, and I think he has been our best player of the season, but in a very, very different way. And I need somebody who can seal the deal a little bit more. I can appreciate a false nine, but also he doesn't. That's not really the role, and so I kind of by default I have to put Raul there, unfortunately, and I'm not particularly happy about that, but I can't in good conscience.
And so who sits behind Raul then for you?
I think Kevin and I think Wilson, and then hopefully get Chikawezi on around about the 60-minute mark. In an ideal world.
I agree with you. I think you're right. I think that's the way we'll go. I think Chukwueze off the bench. You could probably go with. I'd say the reason Kevin will start over Chukwueze is because Kevin didn't go on international duty. Chukwueze did. And so I think Marco puts quite a lot of weight to that. And I think you can't drop Harry Wilson at the moment. As much as I would like to see Kevin and Chukwueze both play, I think Harry Wilson off the back of a hat-trick and an assist and a really good international break, it would be rough to drop him and not play him on that kind of form. He'd be asking 1,000 questions at that point as well, going, what more do I need to do? The other option would be to play him in the false nine and then be able to play...
And the answer is, do it against a better side than North Macedonia.
Still got to put it in the back of the net 3 times. Not everyone does. And an assist, a backheel assist as well, which was very classy.
That backheel assist really sold me. To be fair,
I thought he missed it. I thought he
doesn't matter.
It was not.
I don't think he got anything on it.
It was just a little touch off the side of his boot rather than a full backheel. It was a very good little touch actually.
And my man and yours, Dan James, put it away.
Re-sign Dan James. Get him in over Adama for sure.
Please don't.
I'd take Dan James over Adama. To be fair, I think we at least got like a goal out of Dan James. I don't think we haven't had a goal out of Adama yet, have we? Jesus, that is another podcast. Don't even want to get into that.
Score predictions for the weekend, guys. I think we've probably settled on a rough team, assuming what we know about Marco. Well, what we know about Marco is whatever we think is going to happen is probably not going to happen. And assuming there's no other little niggles after the international break. So I'd say that sounds like a team that we can all sort of agree on. But let's get a prediction. Sammy, your prediction for the game?
I'm genuinely really worried about this one. I'm being dead serious. I reckon it could actually be 1-0 to even 2-0 Sunderland. I'm going to err on the side of optimism, and I'm going to hope and pray for a draw at 2-2. That I genuinely think that's I can't see us winning. I actually really can't, and maybe that's negative, but I can't see it.
Well, it is negative, but yeah, I think it's not out of the realms of possibility. Dad, your prediction for the game?
Harry Wilson is going to go on to score. I think he'll come off the bench, but I'd be happy if he does start in place of Chuck Wazier. That'd be fine. I think he's going to score, and I think we'll score one more. And I reckon we won't keep. I don't think we'll keep them scoreless. So I reckon 2-1, but yeah, it could be 3-2 as well.
Predictions coming through on our YouTube live stream. We've got David Crave 3-2 Fulham, Steve Reynolds 2-1 Fulham. Big shout out to the Sunderland fan who's managed to sit through an hour of our dribble, who's predicted a 2-1 win to Sunderland. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win to Fulham here. I think Sunderland. I can't see us, knowing the way that Sunderland are going to set up, 5 at the back, low block, going to be tough to break down, try and hit us on the break. I think we're not bad at defending on the break. And I can see us managing to handle their attacks fairly well. I just feel like we're going to need a bit of luck in this one. Might be another game for the own goals to pop up and score again for us. But
I'd love them to get a red card.
Being a real slog and a struggle, and I don't see it being a high-scoring game. I'm going 1-0 Fulham in this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if it ended up as a 0-0, and at which point I start to get even more worried without being worried, but still being quite worried. Guys, I think we can probably wrap it up there. Big thanks to everyone who's joined on the live stream. We managed to populate the comments on our YouTube channel as well, so we've been able to see all these flying through live, which has been awesome for us to see. Really appreciate all the support from everyone who joins in, especially the usuals, blokes like Steve Reynolds, Colm, Dave as well from the channel, Claire Green. We really appreciate the support as always. Please do jump into our Discord if you haven't already. Really good place to get all your Fulham news, really good community where all the best and brightest of the Fulham fan base are at all times. You get the latest transfer news from Fulham Fan News. You get all sorts of great tactical analysis from everyone within the community. It's a really great place to be. You can find the links for that across all our bios. Sammy, thank you for joining us tonight. A bit of a late one for you in Melbourne, 10 p.m.
That's okay. That's okay. I do want to continue the trend that I've been doing because everybody else has let me do this. Quick fire question to the both of you. What made you happy this week?
I had a birthday.
What on earth is going on? Oh, yeah, it was your birthday.
Yeah.
I will accept that.
We called that out at the very top of the pod. Happy birthday, Dad.
Well, now we're backtracking.
Do we disclose your age?
Sure, 65.
Bro, got a pensioner card
in
today.
The post.
He turning up.
Free bus travel. It's a great day for the Berenzi household.
I'm filling my boots.
Nice.
Early bird specials everywhere. It's going to be great. You're going to be eating dinner at 4:00 every night. It's brilliant.
I'll take that as a response from both of you. You're both happy about Dad getting older, just by one day.
Yeah, and I'll happy for me as well. The cricket starts on it's tomorrow's Ashes Eve. Cannot wait.
Beauty. See, we've ended
and
on a positive.
if you do join our Discord, you'll also find an Ashes chat channel in there where all the Fulham fans are talking all things cricket as well. So do jump in there. Come on, the Aussies. Dad, thank you for joining, and a big happy birthday again for was it yesterday, day before, a couple of days ago?
Thank you. Yep, good day. Had a good time.
Good, very enthusiastic.
Nothing more to add.
Off there.
Nothing more to add.
Big thanks again to everyone who's joined us live. Big thanks to everyone who continues to download the podcast. Sammy, I'll get you to take us out with a big enthusiastic you whites because I'm not sure Dad's got the energy for it.
That's unfair.